Hello, welcome to the ANZ Pro League brought to you by Blizzard and Gamester. I'm Zeph, with me is Death, and we are in the middle of week number 4, our 9th match. 9 out of 10 matches, in fact, we're at here in this round of robin phase. And we've got one more tomorrow, so we're almost at grand final territory. Death, tell us about tonight's match.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I already can't believe that we're this far into the tournament. Time has absolutely flown by. We've had some great matches. It's been so entertaining. These matches that we're going to be casting tonight will be played or casted from replays because they actually happened last night. And the matches between 1F Pro Gaming and SYF Gaming.
That's it. And SYF have been on a bit of a tear. If they win tonight's match, they will be going through to the grand finals with a 4-0 scoreboard right there, being undefeated so far in the team league. Last night we saw Legacy just barely get their win into that grand finals. There was a couple of intense matches in there, but Downfall putting up a fantastic fight. Spectacular performance from all their players, but not able to make it through this time round. So at this stage, we're playing for the placement in that 5-team ranking to determine the prize pool for these guys, while Legacy and SYF, no doubt, already starting to prepare for those grand finals next week.
And then tomorrow night, we'll have 1F Pro Gaming against OSC Elite. And I suppose, depending on how 1F Pro Gaming go tonight, if they lose this, they'll be down 0-3. And then we'll have OSC Elite, who also haven't won a match. And they'll be kind of competing for the wooden spoon tomorrow night. And for a little bit of dignity. But either way, those games should be really cool. There's a lot of Zergs in those lineups. 3 Zergs will be fielded for both teams and 1 Terran. And then they might make it to an ace match. So hopefully that will be a good broadcast tomorrow night as well. Then over on Tuesday night, we'll have the grand finals. And like we've already said, that'll be between Legacy and SYF. That's already locked in. We know who our grand finalists will be. We'll have those lineups out as quickly as we can over the next few days so everyone can start to give their predictions, and we'll make it a fantastic event. Hopefully that one goes to an ace match as well for that grand final.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, and I think it's a really good matchup for our first grand finals in our local pro league. So I'm expecting good things out of those guys. But tonight's match between SYF and 1F Pro, we spoke a little bit about this last night, saying that SYF we tend to favor a little bit just because of the strength of their roster and how well they've done so far. 1F Pro cannot be counted out by any means. But if we have a look at the matchups tonight, I feel that they do have their work cut out for them. Mia Micah, a really, really strong player who's really made a name for himself this year, especially in our scene. So I think he's one of their best bets for securing points in this team league. Scarecrow as well. Good player. I actually, have we casted him in this team league so far? I don't recall.
I'm not sure if I've cast him in this team league, but I have seen some very promising sites. One of the Probe online tournaments, he had some really good games. I think he took Frustration to the 5th map in a best of 5, which is really difficult.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Baneling busts and a lot of aggressive moves that were made, but he was playing really well and better than I'd ever seen him play before. And Rise is a very good Protoss player for 1F Pro as well. He's got a lot of very aggressive openings in his repertoire. And yours is quite a strong player as well. So I feel like 1F Pro will be not too happy with their performance this time around. I think they've got a much stronger lineup than their results have reflected thus far. So hopefully they can salvage something and put on a good show tonight and tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, still one of the newer teams as well, and I think 2018 will definitely be a good one for them, and we'll keep an eye on how their roster develops and how their players develop as part of that team as well, because, you know, like we've said a few times now, most of the matches have gone to an ace match, so while 1F Pro have been struggling to get those wins, it's not like they've been absolutely stomped every time. They're putting up a good fight. So we'll go through the matches tonight now. One thing we do have to mention, guys, is this is from replay. We haven't spoiled the results for ourselves yet, but we do know that on the first map, Micah had some issues being able to make his match. Suspected a power outage or something there. So unfortunately, that first map ended up being forfeit for 1F Pro, which is a real shame, especially considering that Micah, as such a strong player, was put out on the front lines there.
Yeah, that'd be like Probe not showing up for a Legacy Esports match. You've just lost your shining star. I mean, the rest of the players there are quite good, but I think Micah is just that extra level above anyone else on the team.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. SYF go up 1-0. And then if we look at the second map, that is on Abyssal Reef, and that will be Ascarecrow versus HuT. And that's what we're about to load into now.
Absolutely. Going to slip on into a TVZ here for our first map of the night, Abyssal Reef. Good, solid map. Everyone loves this one at this stage. And I'm keen to see how Scarecrow plays this, because he's a guy that, to be quite honest, I know for adminning and pitching into his team and more behind the scenes work than playing. But clearly, this guy's got some skills.
Yeah, and I'm just not sure where they really came from. Like, how has this guy found the time to get so good at StarCraft? It's always fascinating to me, and I'm really happy that he's managed to ignite that passion. And I can tell you one thing, from casting games and adminning tournaments and doing anything like that, you see a big tournament and suddenly you've got that spark and you want to go and play the video game so badly. But enough of that. Let's introduce our players, starting with, down here in the bottom right, in the red, playing for Team SYF Gaming, it's HuT.
And his opponent in the purple, spawning in the top left, the Zerg player from 1F Pro, it's Ascarecrow.
Uh-oh. Spawning pool first. Interesting. He might just be going for a couple of Zerglings to deny or delay a command center. So this certainly isn't all in by any stretch of the imagination. I am curious to see how he approaches the next phase of the build order. And I really feel like spawning pool first has kind of fallen out of favor as less and less Terran players have actually been opening up with Reapers, and Terrans these days are way better at defending those early expansions as well. So I'm wondering what's going through his mind. Why doesn't he actually open up this way?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I was quite a fan of the pool first myself. If for no other reason that you can sneak sixlings past and nibble down a CC on the low ground while the Reaper's distracted. And that can be quite a nice way to get a bit of a spanner in the works for the Terran player early on. But we've also got the gas falling up after the hatch here for Scarecrow, so let's see where he goes with this. HuT, on the other hand, is actually going to start with that Reaper.
Yeah, he is. Well, one thing to note as well is that Scarecrow went for pool first, but only made 2 lings. So he is able to get that queen out, lots of lava, he can build up that drone count. The thing that scares me about the opening, though, is if this Reaper gets in and gets a good position away from any Zerglings, which we're no longer here at the base, and away from the Queen, he might be able to find some damage with this Reaper. And HuT has very good Reaper control here, Zeph, so let's see what he can do. He'll start attacking momentarily, I'd imagine. He wants to go for a couple of kills, but no, the Queen comes up and steers it away.
Hopefully he can keep that alive, maybe pop back in, or keep some eyes on the map. It's a little trickier once that speed kicks in, but you should have plenty of time at the moment. 2 lings start to poke at the front door of HuT's main base. But they really just get a bit of a scout off, saying, okay, the reactor in this factory, probably going to be a couple of Hellions coming up from there, and then he'll need to get some other confirmation of what the next move from HuT's going to be. Wow, I can't believe he denied the building of that command center.
All right, well, that's paying off. He's delayed the command center by maybe 10 to 20 seconds at this point. The SCV had to be pulled off earlier as well. So that's a nice little win. Scarecrow is already up to 32 workers, so his economy is churning along nicely. He's got a couple of extra queens out, or at least one, and he's able to get that energy up a little bit quicker, so it means that his creep spread can start faster as well.
Indeed, and that creep spread is super key, especially once that big push comes from the Terran. So we do have the first couple of Hellions out here from HuT. He's getting a few more, so he has the possibility to just try and muscle his way either into that natural base or into the main and hope for some kills. At the same time, he has been scouting around that main base again with the Reaper that he made early on in the match and gets...
That was a beautiful scout.
Yeah, a fantastic scout. Sees the lair there for Scarecrow is finished. And that is quite a fast lair. So I do wonder if HuT is sort of thinking in the back of his mind, okay, it's surely got to be a Spire. If not, it would be a Nidus, but there's no Roach Warren or anything. So hopefully that's in the back of his mind. You don't want to get caught out.
I think that HuT definitely knows that it's a Spire, and the reason for that is he got in with the Reaper and he saw gas number 2, 3, and 4 being built at this natural base all at the same time. The only time you ever add that many gases on at once is Spire. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a couple of Thors or some missile turrets or something being made a couple of minutes' time, but he's got some time. And these Hellions could do a lot of damage as well, depending on the defense of Scarecrow. He has walled off with these evolution chambers, so it does force the Hellions to go up a different way. It looks like there's a little bit of indecision here from HuT. He's not going straight up for the jugular, and this wall is going to buy Scarecrow just enough time.
It certainly is, and at the same time, Scarecrow does have a bit of a look in the main base, and he confirms that, okay, it's going to be a Cloak Banshee follow-up, most likely. And HuT does clean up that Overlord shortly after. So, with that armory coming up, it's looking like mech while he starts to poke at this third base.
Yeah, lots of queens though, lots of energy. They can get some transfusers down, so the Hellions can't really fight against that. The only thing that HuT could have done there is maybe run by with Hellions, but I think Scarecrow had built just enough Lings where it's very scary for a Terran player to do that. You just don't want to do it if you don't have, say, Blue Flame. And 7 Mutalisks are now on the way for Scarecrow, so they'll be coming out in just a second here. They will be able to deflect this push from HuT, force out some more anti-air. I'm a little bit concerned because HuT hasn't really built any Thors or anything like that. The armory is just coming up online now, so he'll be able to start them, but he could take some damage if the Mutas just fly across the map.
He certainly could, and there is so much firepower here from HuT on the front lines, though. This Muta's probably going to have to help out here. Now, he is starting to target down a couple of units as HuT continues to move forward, morphs the Hellions again to speed them off into the natural.
Yeah, it was probably a mistake, though, as they are going to get cleaned up a lot easier now. The Queens aren't really in position, so some of juicy shots could go down on these drone lines, taking out 5 of them. And back here at the third base, one Cyclone is still working on that. Thankfully, the Lings come up, but it still looks a little bit dicey. The Mutas should be able to take out this Cyclone finally. One thing to note as well is that the Cyclones and the anti-air has gotten a significant buff, and they were doing pretty well against the Mutas, and especially as they've got that armor. A little bit of armor makes a huge difference, and the Mutas' DPS really isn't very high. So HuT was able to buy himself more than enough time, and a Thor's just about to pop out as well.
Certainly, and a couple of Vikings in the mix as well, just to help out. He's got to be careful. He only lost 1 Muta so far. Excuse me, but hopefully he can keep those Mutas alive. It's a bit of a presence on the map. It grants him a bit of vision as well, and he can keep tabs on what HuT's doing. He's seen that there's a third CC there and knows that HuT will likely be looking to land that out there soon. So back at home, he's going back into teching and droning a little bit, as he only just now sort of hit that 65-ish drone economy that we typically see Zergs aim for on 3-bait.
Yeah, a bit of sloppy micro here from Scarecrow, though. He's kind of just going into turret range, taking some shots and getting out of there. So he did lose a Mutalisk. HuT, he's got his third base now landed. He's able to saturate this on the right-hand side, going and adding on another couple of factories as well. So he'll have a lot of units being able to be produced very quickly here, and a push, maybe around 150 supply, could be absolutely deadly. And it's looking kind of tricky for Scarecrow to navigate this mid-game now.
Yeah, it's, I mean, he's got his fourth base almost finished, so that's good. And if you really power that economy up to like 80 drones, you can gun for Hive, you can start getting Vipers in there and pick apart the mech army instead. Maybe rely on blinding clouds a little bit. But Scarecrow seems to be just massing roaches at the moment. That seems to be the play that he wants to go for. 15 more in the production tab, 2-2 on the way as well. And that can definitely muscle its way through a lot of mech army if he catches him out of position, or even if he wants to get a little bit aggressive. Although on this map, I think it's not too bad to defend these three bases with mech and good siege tank positioning.
Yeah, and even 140 supply of mech. If you don't have Vipers as Zerg, you could be maxed out, and you'll still lose your whole army to a good position from Terran. The new changes that have come through, things like Ravens and auto servos and all of the new mech changes have kind of come together to allow Terrans to defend a little easier and pressure at the same time. And I love these moves from Terrans now that are going out with Medivacs and Thors, because this is a great option to deny some mining bases, do a little bit of counter pressure, and force the Zerg to go into Hydras. Scarecrow's macro has been pretty good. He's gotten maxed out at 10 minutes, while I think he would have been aiming maybe for 9. But considering the fights that have already happened, I'm not dissatisfied with that position. But if he doesn't get something done here, or losing some of the muters, and yeah, they're all going down. But like I'm saying, if he doesn't manage to get something big done here, he will be hard-pressed to fight against the next Terran push that'll be coming out. Some good corrosive biles coming down. And it looks like HuT's position is just too much.
Yeah, and at the third base of Scarecrow at the same time, tons of drones going down as HuT roasts his way through a mineral line with Hellions and towards the end there, Hellbats. In fact, that whole base is going to fall. And that is definitely a rough spot for Scarecrow, being knocked back to 3 bases, where the third one actually only has about 4 drones on it at the moment.
Oh, Zeph, this is way too many Ravagers. If you've got this much gas, you should be spending it on Hydras or Hive Tech or something. But this is just too much. He can't actually use these. They're actually weaker than Roaches because they don't have that armor. They're not armored units. But at the same time, their firepower is just not that great when you have to go into siege range to actually use it. He might be able to slowly chip away at this army, but I just feel like there's not enough pressing power in it.
Yeah, all these tanks have a beautiful wall to hide behind. Lots of files coming down, but the siege tank fire just shreds these roaches.
That was brutal to watch, and the cost efficiency of these tanks is insane, especially this one in the front. He's already got 6 kills, and there's one on the right side with 9 kills, and all of that is going to be roaches and ravagers. There's no zerglings there. That's just pure cost efficiency from these tanks.
Exactly, and a drop of Hellions is going to go into the main base of Scarecrow as well. And I mean, if you just hit L on that keyboard, Dan, it's already double the resources lost for Scarecrow. He cannot afford to lose these drones.
Well, he can't afford to lose them, Zeph, but he is losing so many right now. 13, 14 going down now. HuT is up in supply, 40 supply advantage to him, adding on extra command centers. And even manages to pick up the Hellions and move away. And that's just brutal for Scarecrow to have to deal with now. He's down to 57 workers. He doesn't have mules. So HuT's economy is quite a lot better right now. And will get even better when he can double expand. Because as a Terran player, you can take this base that he's moving up to now. But you can also take this base down here. And your economy just gets out of control.
Yeah, you certainly can. You got a couple of options there, and HuT feeling very comfortable at the moment. He's going to move forward here. He actually sees these roaches and ravagers move out. They're going to try and slip past, but they actually get caught by some of that siege tank fire. They want to engage here, but it's not a good spot. There's so many siege tanks ready at these chokes, and he has to back out of there.
Yeah, only now does he have the Hive. No Vipers out yet. He's got a Hydralisk Den just building. So he had the early game down quite well, but didn't transition very well in the mid game. And now he's just caught between a rock and a hard places. HuT comes up into the natural. He takes a commanding position. And I don't think that Scarecrow is going to be able to break this at all. Look at this. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. It's just endless Zerg corpses littering the natural base here. And HuT's just continuing to push forward. He's rallying anything that he makes back towards Scarecrow's base. And GG. HuT will put a second point on the board there for his team, putting them on match point already.
Oh, already. It's been, what, 15 minutes? We're already potentially at the last game of the night, so that's interesting. And, I mean, a big shout-out to HuT there. He played very, very well. 8,825 resources lost for him, and over 18,900 lost for Scarecrow. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, as to how that game went. And I think HuT was just in control, grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and just kind of started punching it, and eventually there was just nothing left over, and he walked up into that natural, took the win, easy peasy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough one there. I like the idea from Scarecrow to go Mutas, and that is a way you can catch out players from time to time. They're focusing on Hellions, they're focusing on Banshees. They don't have a lot of anti-air, but HuT got that information nice and early, and I feel like he never, from that point, lost control of the game. He was dictating the pace for most of it, macroed beautifully, and yeah, brought it home for his team. So HuT looking as good as always. Passes the baton to Mighty Kiwi on Blackpink, who is going up against Rise for our next match. So a lot riding on this for Rise. That's a fair bit of pressure.
That's a tough ask, especially against one of the best players, if not the best Zerg player in the region. If he can do it, he'll keep his team alive, and if he can't, that's going to be the quickest overall match of the tournament. That would be, I mean, effectively a 3-0, but kind of like a 2-0 considering the walkover. I don't want it. Like, I want to have more StarCraft stuff. I don't want this to be over in half an hour.
Yeah, we always want maximum StarCraft games, and we've been very spoiled. So we have an expectation now that we get to go the full length of our streams. So hopefully Rise in this next map can show off a little bit. So guys, why don't we take a quick 1-minute break? We'll get this lobby loaded up and we'll be back with you shortly.